Yesterday we did the power rankings for Masters London, so today it's time for the Pickems. So let's take a quick look and well, what we're gonna do is the Swiss stage picks. Like who will advance. We will do that after we do the initial round 1 matches, since I think the teams that will make it through are most likely gonna be teams that will win the opening games. So yeah, let's get right into it with XIG versus Energy. And so when we look at this matchup, I think the interesting thing will be Ascent, with how that's gonna go for these two teams. XIG hasn't played that map, Energy has only played it once and they lost on that map, but it only came in for playoffs, so it kind of made sense that a lot of teams wouldn't play on Ascent, and so it feels kind of hard to judge as to which of these two teams are likely gonna ban Ascent, or which of these two might have improved on that map a lot. So that feels kind of hard to predict. So what I went for is NRG banning Split. I think Split is clearly the worst map, apart from Ascent, right? We don't know about that map really. So Split is the worst one out of the ones we've seen. So it makes sense in my eyes that NRG are gonna ban that. And then when it comes to XLG, I think they have a few options, and I've gone with Fracture, which I think is the most likely, since they didn't really play that map themselves. They banned it a lot of times. They've only played it twice, right? And NRG have a clean record on that map. So even though XIG have a higher elo rating, I still think NRG are clearly better on that map. But I still feel like with XLG, their Breeze, for example, or their Haven or their Pearl, all of these maps haven't looked great for them. So in my eyes, it will make probably a bit more sense for them to ban one of these maps, especially since, uh, especially for Breeze and Haven, they're just such good maps for Energy. So I think banning either of these two would be a better choice, but I think Fracture is most likely. And I think Energy are gonna pick Haven, and I think they're gonna win on it. And for XLG, I think they are gonna pick Lotus. It's clearly their best map, as well as their most played, and I do see them winning on that map. Then for the second rotation of map bans, I think XLG are gonna get rid of Breeze then. I've mentioned before that it makes sense for them to ban it. So yeah, this time around, without Fracture, it makes the most sense, even though I could also see them banning Pearl instead, but I think Breeze makes more sense. And for Energy, I've gone with them banning Ascent. I don't think that Energy would be too happy to um, like let the deciding map be kind of a coin flippy map where you don't know how much the enemy uh, has prepared on. So I feel like Pearl is just more of a known quantity to them. It is their most played map, so they should clearly feel comfortable on that map, and I think they are gonna win it. So I've got a 2-1 for Energy over XIG. So let's lock that in. And then next up we have Vitality versus DRG. And for Vitality versus DRG, I think we are once again at an interesting situation with both of these teams perma-banning Fracture, like genuinely perma-banning it. So yeah, the way I went about it is that I picked Vitality banning Fracture, since I personally believe that Vitality are the better team compared to DRG. So I've kind of gone with the way where DRG probably has the best odds of winning. I kind of feel like with Vitality, they are either gonna prep something on Fracture or on Ascent, since these are the two worst maps and uh, aren't really practice maps for them. So I've just gone with them maybe fixing their sense since they've played it already and keeping their permaban. So that's why I've gone for that. And I think DRG have had more time coming up to this event. So because of that, I just thought maybe DRG wouldn't ban it, but it would also make sense if both teams leave it open or DRG ban it first. But if not, I think DRG are gonna ban Split, because out of the maps that they've played, this is their worst map clearly. Or maybe that or Pearl, but at least from the maps that I've played a lot, they've lost quite a bit on Split. So I think they should ban that. I think Vitality are gonna pick whichever remains out of the two. And I think it should be a fairly easy situation for them. Probably easier on Pearl than on Split, but should be a win regardless. And then for DRG, I've gone with them picking Haven, and I actually gave them the win on that map. I think it would be a really close map. I think it would be kind of 50-50, but yeah, I gave it to DRG since I think Wuxu can always have a great game and take over in a game. So yeah, I see that as a possibility. Then for the second rotation of bans, I've gone with Vitality banning Lotus, which is their worst out of the maps that they've played a lot. So not banning Ascent, since I think they will probably have prepped something on Ascent, and also DRG hasn't played it a lot, so yeah, because of that I think they would feel better with leaving Ascent open. And then for DRG, they are clearly gonna ban Breeze, which is the worst out of the remaining maps, and I would leave the remaining map as Ascent, and I've given it to Vitality. I think it's really hard to judge that map. We've only seen Vitality play it twice and they've looked bad, but I think they are gonna prep on that map more. And DRG won once, so we also haven't seen a lot from them. And yeah, it feels hard to judge Ascent in general, so for it now, I guess I'm just gonna pick mostly the teams that have looked in general better to win on Ascent, and in this case this is Vitality. So 2-1 for Vitality in my eyes. And so we're gonna lock that in as well. And then the third match will be Full Sense versus Foot Esports. And for Full Sense versus Foot, Full Sense have a permaban in Ascent thus far. Now it's only been there for playoffs, so I don't know if Full Sense are gonna stick with Ascent being their permaban. They might not, but since Foot has looked at least quite decent on the map, I've gone with Full Sense continuing their banning of Ascent. And then for Foot, I think they are probably gonna ban Fracture, which is kind of been a permaban for them. They've only played it once and lost, so not a great map for them, and they will probably be eager to keep it out of the map pool. For Full Sense's map pick, I think Pearl makes a lot of sense. I've talked a lot about how EMEA Pearls aren't great, and Foot is certainly no exception, and even within EMEA they've looked really bad on their map, so I think this should be a free win for Full Sense, and it's probably also their best map. And then for Foot, I've gone with them picking Haven, since it is one of their better maps, and it's one of Full Sense's weaker maps, so I think this should be the highest advantage Foot have on any map, so they should pick that. And then for the second rotation of bans, I've gone with Full Sense banning Breeze, since I feel like out of the remaining maps, it is probably their weakest map, since out of the remaining maps it's their weakest. And then for Foot, I've gone with them banning Split for the same reason, even though I do see a world where Foot keeps Split in, since they've played it more compared to Lotus, but I think it's also a better map for Full Sense, so it makes more sense to leave Lotus as the remaining map. But yeah, even with it going to Lotus, I have Full Sense as favorites, and I would have a 2-1 for Full Sense over Foot. And yeah, if Split is the remaining map, I think it's even more so an advantage for Full Sense on the last map. So yeah, 2-1 for Full Sense. And so we're gonna add that one in, and then the last match out of the round 1 matches will be Lev versus Global Esports. And for this match, Leviathan actually have a permaban in Lotus, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't keep that permaban. I think for GE, they are likely to ban Ascent, either Ascent or Fracture probably, since they have only played either of these maps once and only lost once. So probably they will have prepped a bit more on one of these maps. I don't know which it's gonna be, but especially versus Lev specifically, Lev has looked way better on Ascent. They've looked actually really good, like one of the best Ascent teams from the little we've seen during the playoffs. And so because of that, I think GE are probably gonna ban Ascent over Fracture. And for Lev's map pick, I've gone with them picking Split. It has looked like the best map, and yeah, even though it's also a good map for GE, they've looked quite good on that against Paper X when they beat them especially. But overall, I would slightly give it to Lev. Then for GE's map pick, I see them picking Breeze. Kind of picking Breeze versus Liv has been a free win for teams in Americas, and since I think they are probably going to keep their permaban in Lotus, even though they shouldn't, I think it's going to continue that people will pick Breeze versus them and win. So yeah, I think GE are going to take that free win. And then in the second rotation of bans, um, I wasn't quite sure about which way it was gonna go. I've gone with Left banning Fracture and GE banning Haven, but I really think it doesn't matter at all. I think both teams will want to ban whichever of the two will not be banned by the other one. I think these two maps are gonna be banned regardless, and the remaining map will be Pearl no matter what. And I think Pearl is going to be an incredibly close match. I think the map is as close to a 50-50 as it can be. And I would just slightly give it to Lev because the individuals have looked better. I think Neon has been so insane. And on Pearl, he might just take over on his chamber. So, yeah, that's kind of the reason why I'm giving it to Lev. That just the team holistically has looked a bit better than GE has, even though I can see a world where GE win this. But yeah, gone for to 1-4 Lev. And so we're gonna add that last match in as well and save them. And so for the teams that I think are gonna make it out of Swiss, I think the biggest favorite, or the favorite, the most likely one to make it out 2-0 is NRG in my opinion. They have a really easy matchup in XLG, I think, and I see them pretty much as favorites against any other team. Even though they lost to Lev, I think Lev are more so hurt with the Neon changes than NRG are. I think for NRG it really doesn't matter that these Neon changes are coming in, and for Lev it does matter quite a bit, and also they just have way more stage experience compared to Lev, for whom this is their first international, so it might also be a little bit of a nerves thing. So yeah, I think NRG are most likely to make it out of Swiss. The second team have making it out of Swiss is Vitality actually. Again, they also have an easy matchup versus TIG, and I think the individuals are just gonna carry. Like, I don't know, I can't really see a Durka and a Kron not making it out of Swiss, and Sayonara has also looked really insane. So I think just the individual skill will be enough to make it out of Swiss. But yeah, in general, I feel like there's quite a bit of upset potential uh, in the Swiss stage. I think it's fairly close with the majority of these teams, but yeah, about these two, I feel the most certain. As the third team, I would still have it being Lev and Full Sense actually, which incidentally are all the teams that I see winning their opening matches, which makes sense since they have a higher probability to make it on through. But I feel like, at least mathematically, it's so likely that one of these teams will not make it on through because they will play each other in the round 3 games from the 1-on-1 teams. So yeah, I think it's really unlikely to get this right. Um, I think the team that I would see having the highest probability of making it on in is GE out of the 4 that I have outside of it. But yeah, I couldn't tell you whether to put them in over Full Sense. I don't really see an angle there, and I think Lev are too good of a team generally to have GE in over them. So yeah, that's why I've picked these 4. I can't say I feel too great about it, but I don't know. I feel like this is the most probable outcome, the most logical outcome I can come up with. So yeah, that's uh that's what I've gone for, and these are my pick'ems for the Swiss stage. So let me know how you guys feel about them. Who do you think is gonna make it out of Swiss? And who do you have winning in the round 1 matches? And then we're gonna see each other for the round 2 matches for these pick'ems in a couple of days.